Now that we have some images generated from our mockup, they should appear in brackets. Actually, they won't appear until I refresh my file tree. I can do that by right-clicking, Control-click on Mac, and choose Refresh File Tree. Now I see all of my my assets listed. So Mockup Assets is the folder that Photoshop is dumping into when you save, and then I've moved the ones that I want to be using inside my Images folder. Well, so now I have these various, here are some various GIFs. Here's the arrow for the button. Another couple of movies here. And then these header and logo I need to insert into my page so I can get it to look like my final result. So just as a refresher, what we're going for is something that looks like this. I can get it down to a reasonable size here. So it's time to work on that logo at the top and this header image. And there are locations for this in the HTML file. So let's have a look. Inside my index.html, there is a blank area in the header, which is where I'm going to put my logo. And so I'll do that now. Logo. My alt can just be the words. And let's see how that looks. Refresh. Okay, pretty good. This needs to be in the middle, and it's not currently. And probably the easiest way to do that with an image tag is to text align this element. So this element, just to review what we just saw in the HTML, if I look at it in the inspector, I see that I'm inside the header tag. If I want to test this out in Chrome to see if it really is what I want, I could go over to the right-hand side and look at this element.style. This is the place where if you put the style right on the tag, like right on this header tag, that's what this is talking about. It's a nice place for me to experiment. So I could say text align center, and that looks beautiful. So indeed, let me go write a rule to text align center so I can make that permanent. Here's my styles.css at the top in the working files area. And this is not text and fonts really, it's more than that. So I'm gonna stick it down in the layout rules for header. This is a header tag, so I don't need a pound sign and I don't need a dot before it. It can just be header, text align center. Save, refresh, and that's looking good. My next image area is this area just above the An American icon heading, and that is this empty div named subhead. This does have an ID on it, so I'm going to use it. And so there's two ways I could do this. I could go into the HTML and put an image tag in between this div and this slash div, but then at that moment, I don't really have the control I need over the width of the div or the width of the image. Let me show you what I mean so that you can see why I don't want to choose that option. If I go ahead and do it like this with an image tag, the way I just did the other one, because why not? I mean, that's totally valid assumption to make that you could do it this way. And in some cases, it works. Like the logo works great. Let me just put a quick alt. Footloose movie shot. Okay, so I'm going to save this and refresh in the browser, and then I can see it here. But now you see my problem. It's supposed to be this much, and it's supposed to go all the way across. And Kevin Bacon kind of is in the middle here. It's pretty close, but I need it to extend to the whole width of the page, no matter what width the page is at. So if I expand and contract this, I should get it completely filling the page at all times. That's a background property. If I want access to that kind of resizing ability, I need to make it a background property. And that's why I'm not going to use an image tag in this case. So let's get rid of that. and instead take a close look at what this is. In fact, I'm going to double click it, copy it, and go over to my style sheet and make a rule for it. It's an ID, so I'll put a # before it, and I'll put this on as a background image. I'll do the background shortcut and go back into my images folder, pick up that header image. It's no repeat. It looks like it might be centered. I'm going to say center. But most importantly is the background size cover the image, the part that I need to cover. Now, I'm going to run into another problem in a minute, which you'll see as soon as I save and refresh, which is, oh, actually, I think I forgot to save my HTML file, because now I can see the background image over here, and I can see the image tag here. Oh yeah, in brackets that it shows a little dot next to it if it's modified and hasn't been saved. So let me go back and save that. And now refresh. And trouble here. And why? Because if I mouse over in the inspector, subhead is 0 pixels high. It's 0 pixels high because it doesn't have any content. So the browser says, well, this is an empty div. I don't need to show anything. Yes, I do, obviously. So let's fix that. If subhead thinks it's 0 pixels high, totally accurately, because it has no content in it, we need to force it to be the height that we want. How high? I don't know, 200 or 300 pixels in this case. Let's say 300 px. Save. Refresh. Aha, better. There's some gap here. We'll close that up in a bit, but what we've seen is 2 different ways to approach the background image. So this is a little bit of a nicer resizing effect here. One, sometimes it works fine to do an image tag, and sometimes it's a better idea to do a background image. One more note about why I might choose an image tag versus a background image. So up here, this is really a title of the site. And I have alt text in here that says Kevin Bacon. This has words in it, not to restate the obvious, but the words Kevin Bacon are in this logo. When somebody is crawling, when a search crawler is indexing your site, if you just have images here, it can't read words and images. So it doesn't know that the words Kevin Bacon are in this image. It's only by picking up the alt text that it can figure out that this is actually a Kevin Bacon type of web page. So that's why having an image tag with alt text is a great idea for up here in the logo area when there is actually text in your image. So if you are inserting an image that has text baked into it, consider using an image tag so that you can put alt text on it that has the same text as this text. Then a search engine can find it. Down here, this is more stylistic. There's no words here. So I'm feeling comfortable about using this as a background image.